Who would want to see Jimmy Dore live? A bunch of angry fucks like watch his show. I mean, I'm sure he packs the place. You know, but it's the same shit. It's honestly, it's just like, well, it's him doing other people's jokes that he claims are his own while just kind of screaming at the audience about hegemony or some shit or American imperialism. It's the America Bad tour, the tour that could only happen in America, uninterrupted. The only place, literally, the hilarious is if you really want a better example of American exceptionalism, it's this. It's the fact that Jimmy Dore can tour around the country shitting on his own government. Like, you can't actually come up with a better way to say America's government is superior to that of China or Russia's. The irony. Ooh, good Lord. Anyways, so...
You know that the biggest...
By the way, this is... The title of this one, from the Angry Jimmy, is... hold on.
...of lies, especially during wars.
Okay, is his mic up or is my shit... Hold on. I'm going to make sure that I'm not overblown or some crap happening over here. Because yesterday we had a bit of a... I thought it was my problem. Turned out, nope. It was just... it was shitty audio from Dan Bongino. But...
Government, and the second biggest purveyor of lies is the corporate news media.
Oh, yes, that's true.
Here
so
is
in this,
the New York Times.
Stop. Oh, I'm on the wrong keyboard. Sorry. So just in case you missed that, the biggest purveyor of lies in a war is the government and the corporate media. Now, I know what you're thinking. Which corporate media? The American corporate media? The Russian corporate media, if there's such a thing? The Ukrainian corporate, the European corporate media, the corporate media in general, right, exactly. Which government? If the government is the purveyor of lies, is it always the U.S. government? Or does the Russian government automatically lie? Is everyone always lying on both sides of a war, especially when both sides have effectively a corporate media and a government? I'm just fucking with you. It's always America.
They said they created a...
Hold on. I'm going to bring this back up. This is weird. Hold on. System move over here. Because I just feel like the output on this thing... Built-in line out port. Hey. Take this guy. I'm going to bring this down a touch. I don't think it's us. I think it's his audio, but whatever.
Crime scene to investigate serious...
Yep, it's not me. It's not us. It's fuzzy on his end.
Chemical attack.
Did everybody's Shure microphone die in the same fucking week?
Got it wrong. They got it 100.
Oh, by the way, he's going back to the this is an article from New York Times. Oh, hold on. This is he's talking about how he got it right in Syria because there was no chemical attack. Assad didn't gas his own people. This was really was the rebels or what have you. And his attack on the mainstream is he knew immediately because he knew people on the ground there, which he absolutely did not. But that the New York Times, because they weren't on the ground there and they just took all the available imagery, used 3D software and that kind of stuff to look at it and go, okay, did this missile get set there by some people or did it actually fly in through a fucking building and that kind of stuff? So they did a forensic analysis of these things. That's what he's claiming at this point. And by the way, the assumption you're supposed to make is that because a relative unknowable in a Syrian conflict where the Russians are on one side with Assad and we're not attacking Assad, but we're backing rebel groups against ISIS in this particular region, and Trump was in office when this shit's going down. When that happens... that's the same as the Ukrainians are Nazis and they deserve what's coming to them.
Is that wrong? They said Assad gassed his own people.
Did he dye his hair orange? I don't know. He might. We'll have to see if he's on Tucker lately. And by the way, hold on one second. How we created a virtual crime scene. Whoops. I'll just do Syria. New York Times. Okay. This is the article. Now he puts all of his shit into a Keynote. Apple software. Just saying. For all the, well, at least he doesn't use. At least he uses open source software like OBS and puts his graphics into that, and he doesn't give more money and support to Apple, but then he has to. All right, never mind. Okay, so this is the article he's showing. He's literally like, see that? Yeah, he took a picture of it and then put the picture in. This has a full AR experience that you can watch on iPhones, where you can literally hold it in front of your fucking face if you want to be terrified. April 7th, Syrian military helicopters dropped a chlorine bomb on the rooftop balcony of an apartment building in the opposition-held town of Douma near Damascus. Dozens of people were sheltering inside as Bashir al-Assad's forces waged an intense bombing campaign in a final push to seize control of the rebel enclave. Chlorine is a heavy gas, so that we count at least 34 victims. This is the article. Syrian regime prevailed in its military campaign, seizing control of Douma and the crime scene. Russian police were the first outsiders allowed to visit the site, followed by Russian reporters who presented their own version of events. Gee, I wonder why somehow Jimmy thinks he had his own reporters on the ground. Let's see.
Which, of course, he did it because I knew it in real time. That's how bad the New York Times...
He knew it in real time. In real time. How would you know it in real time? You wouldn't. You would hear reports coming back after the fact, unless I'm sorry, Jimmy. I refuse to believe, as much as you're a Russian stooge, that you you would beg Putin to look through the spyglass of the drone strike and go, is there an American flag anywhere there?
I knew they were wrong about this in real time because the reporting on the ground was opposite of what they said.
The reporting on the ground was opposite of what they said. The Syrian regime prevailed in and the crime scene. Russian police were the first outsiders allowed to visit the site, followed by Russian reporters who presented their own version of events. They said the building showed no evidence of a chemical attack, and the bomb on the rooftop balcony was placed there in an attempt to stage the so-called attack. We were unable to visit Douma, but to get to the truth of what happened, we forensically analyzed the visual evidence unwittingly provided by the Russian reports. So they just took the footage the Russian reporters put forward. But Jimmy, sight unseen, has decided that since the Russians were the first on the ground, they have the truth. Yeah, it was RT or Russian.
Do you imagine a crime scene? The reporters I followed were actually there.
Yeah, there you go. The reporters he followed were actually there. The Russian reporters. The ones who, by the way, now continue to work for RT, presumably, during the invasion of Ukraine, when Russia has turned off the internet to the rest of the world. Dear God, tell me, how does Elon Musk feel about censorship in Russia, Jimmy? And have also, agreed that the use of a tactical nuke on the Ukrainian people for not just laying down and taking the invasion proves they're Nazis and gives justification for that act.
There's jokes too for that.
Oh, okay.
There's jokes. I gave you some jokes, Jimmy. Look at my jokes. I have some old jokes from when this article came out a long time ago.
Oh, let me get it. Is there? Really?
Yeah, really. Oh, yeah. Of course there are jokes. It's a Syrian gas attack. What could be more ripe for humor than that amongst you and your friends, Jimmy? Of course you wrote jokes right away. What else are you going to write jokes about? Yourself?
Hang on.
Oh, I am. We'll wait. Anybody, just if you guys want to go get a snack or anything, while he's looking up jokes on his phone that Kurt gave him for the Jimmy Dore show.
Oh, here it is.
Oh, good. All right. Well, finally, we've all caught up.
It says how we created a virtual crime scene.
Yeah, we could see that part. He's resetting up because that's the necessary setup to the joke.
Know how you did it? You did it with computers. A list of parroted notes from various powerful people you're supposed to be keeping an eye on rather than vice versa. That's how you did it.
You poked your green screen, Jimmy. You're sitting too far back. Also, 1 second. They no, they didn't actually. The way they did it, they actually say in the article. If you bother to read the article. But to get to the truth, we forensically analyzed the visual evidence unwittingly provided by the Russian report. So he was actually going by the same shit you were watching, Jimmy. They were doing this, combining those pictures with other videos filmed by Syrian activists. You know, those fuckers. The Syrian activists. I mean, ew. We reconstructed a 3D model of the building, the balcony, and the bomb in partnership with Goldsmiths, University of London Research Agency Forensic Architecture. The reconstruction brought a vital crime scene to us. We could inspect how the bomb related to the trove of visual evidence around it, the debris strewn across the balcony, the bomb's design, the architecture of the rooftop, the damage inscribed on the bomb's casing, the hole punctured in the roof, and how the bomb penetrated into the room beneath. Key pieces of evidence indicate this bomb was not planted, as officials claim, but dropped from a Syrian military helicopter. The evidence supports chlorine was involved, and it affirmed when it happened on the evening of April 7th, a time frame that is consistent with witness reports and interviews of that day. That's not what the Russian people told me. They told me it was that the Syrian activists gassed their own people, and then they found one of our bombs nearby and they placed it there.
That's how you guys did it. Talk about burying the lead. The story is media outlet creates a crime scene. That's the story.
That's a punchline, apparently.
Not the graphics department. So just to let you know that the New York Times has been 1,000% wrong about war.
There, you can't be 1,000%. Percent means 100. So you can be 100% wrong. That's it. You can't be more than 100% wrong. That's just wrong. Can't be more than wrong. Unless you're articulating that the illusion that I'm supposed to grasp from this is that beyond 100% wrong, which would be mistaken, is disinformation. Is that they're actively doing this. That they are doing this because they are against the Assad regime and the Russians, and I don't know why what the dog they might have in that fight.
Crimes, war, right. And before. On the regular, this isn't unusual for them to get it wrong. They get it wrong. They were wrong about weapons of mass destruction, Iraq. They were wrong about it. New York Times, 2005. So were they wrong in 2005? The world little noted, but at some point late last year, the American search for weapons of mass destruction in Iraq ended. We will, however, long remember the doomsday warnings from the Bush administration about mushroom clouds, sinister aluminum tubes, the breathless reports from TV correspondents where the invasion began. There you go. Don't go true. Okay. The New York Times the State Department says, the Defense Department says, and they wrote articles about it, and there were opinion articles like, oh shit, they got weapons of mass destruction. And then there were opinion articles that said, there's no fucking way they have weapons of mass destruction. This is bullshit. This is buffoonery. And then Saddam said, you're damn right, we have weapons of mass destruction to the Iranians. And the Iranians leaked that to everybody else. So they go, see, they said that. And the only reason he said it was because if he said he didn't have them, they would kill him. That was his fear. This is a nasty part of the world. Anyways. Understand they're wrong about Libya. They're wrong.
And by the way, they're wrong about Afghanistan. Which part? That it was Biden's fault that we got out when we did and how we did?
About Syria, and they're wrong about Ukraine right now.
Okay, they're wrong. The New York Times is wrong about Ukraine right now. They're wrong about all this stuff, presumably in the same way every time. So in their support for Ukraine in their belief that that Russia shouldn't attack or that it's gross or any of that stuff. Clearly, they are wrong about this the same way. Okay, guys, there you go.
And so when they tweet out, Ali Velshi says, this remarkable
Velshi.
Times investigation using satellite imagery disproves the Russian claim that somehow Ukrainians themselves killed or planted the dead bodies discovered in Bucha. So this was, a lot of people are saying, is a false flag.
No, they're not. Not a lot of people. They don't, and by the way, you don't need a false flag when you've already been invaded, you fucking tool. What the fuck? Do you even know what do you even false flag, bro? You do a false flag, like that's the Gulf of Tonkin. That's the purpose of it, is the illusion that, by the way, the idea that Pearl Harbor was a false flag or that we allowed it to happen is because we weren't in the war, and it gets you into the war. You don't have to do a fucking false flag when the enemy is retreating from an area. When they are attacking you already, and they're admitting it everywhere. They're claiming your fucking country. They're saying your society doesn't exist or doesn't have any right to exist. What the fuck? No one thinks this is a false flag. Anybody who uses the phrase false flag with any of this shit is goofy. Meanwhile, the Russians can't decide whether the sinking of a Moskva is a false flag or their fuck up. What the hell?
And the evidence is pointing that way.
No, it fucking well isn't. Please follow that up. Please follow this up with the evidence is pointing that way. What evidence? You have to, that kind of a statement. The evidence that those fucking dead people were planted there on purpose to what? Get the world to take this more seriously? The U.S. can't. Fucking Finland and Sweden are already going to join NATO a week ago, before this discovery. What? Oh, for fuck's sake. Can you imagine if this picture was from Afghanistan and the United States government was saying those dead bodies were put there by members of Al-Qaeda. It's a false flag. That satellite imagery is bullshit. We did not kill those people. Do you think for a fucking second that Jimmy would believe the U.S. government's story about this? But somehow, Russia's story about an area where they definitely left dead civilians, period, end of story. Even if you don't believe the people in the street, let's just say they fabricated 2 of them, but 2 out of 3 mass graves are genuine, Jimmy. Think about that for a fucking second. Good Lord.
And so he's relying on the New York Times, who got a satellite image from a fucking defense contract,
a shady defense contractor. Is it a picture or isn't it a picture, dummy? What do you think they did? They didn't give you the footage of them dragging their own relatives out into the fucking ground and tying their hands? A shady defense
contractor. And of course, it's from the New York Times, so you can't trust the New York fucking Times.
By the way, this defense contractor that he apparently got this picture from, which, by the way, hold on. Let's see. New York Times. Bucha. Satellite images. This is the article he's talking about. Satellite images show bodies lay in Bucha for weeks, despite Russian claims. Now, notice how Jimmy cannot post he has to post Ali Velshi's tweet and not the article. Now, we'll see if he brings up the article. I have not pre-watched this, as I don't. And if he does, do you think it includes this title? Because the idea is that, you know, as a false flag, the story that he believes is that once the Ukrainians started taking back the city, they dragged they shot some of their own and dragged them out into the street, or killed Russian-speaking people just for the fuck of it, for, I don't know what, surviving. And it says bodies of satellite images provided. Okay, satellite images provided. Let's see. Maxar Technologies is the company that he's talking about. Let's see if Jimmy, besides this, fuck Ali Velshi. What is Ali Velshi? It says Ali Velshi in New York Times. It's all fake. It's all bullshit. It's all bullshit, bruh.
He also doesn't. Yeah, he's not mentioning that they digitally recreated it.
He's
in
also
his tweet.
Satellite images rebut Russia's claim that civilians. Okay, where is it in here that this is? Update. New video shows Russian soldiers opening fire on a cyclist in Bukha. It's yeah. Let's see. Images emerged over the weekend. Russia claims a review of videos and satellite imagery by the Times shows that many civilians were killed 3 weeks ago when they were in control of the town. One video filmed by a local council. Okay, so this is February 28th, March 19th. February 28th, March 19th. To confirm where the bodies appeared when the civilians were likely killed, the visual investigation team at the Times conducted a before and after analysis of the satellite imagery. Images show dark objects similar to human size, according to on Yablonka Street, appearing on between March 9th and March 11th. The objects appear in the precise location which bodies were found by the Ukrainian forces when they reclaimed Bucha, as the footage from April 1st shows. Further analysis shows the objects remained in those positions for over 3 weeks. Now, the second video taken in Lubansk shows 3 more bodies. One lies beside a bicycle, another near abandoned cars. Satellite imagery shows the abandoned cars and nearby the body bear on March 20th and 21st. So the satellite imagery, not in relation to this, shows the body sitting there. This March 21st, this dead body has been sitting there from at least March 21st to April 2nd when they took the city back. But please, Kurt, tell me how they reconstructed things while you're sitting in front of your fucking mushroom landscape hippie background. And Jimmy, please cover him with a graphic out of total disregard for your guests once again.
An investigation.
He's also not mentioning on the same day that the Pentagon said they couldn't confirm it.
On the day they rolled in. By the way, New York Times can't be trusted. Reuters can't. Okay, let's see. Reuters. Pentagon can't confirm. Can't independently confirm. Yeah, because they're not in the fucking country. Let's see. April 4th. This is the article that he brings up. When did this video come out? April 19th. Jimmy's showing is showing a article from April 4th in a war that has been going on for 50 some odd days, 52 days now. He puts out a video on April 19th and uses an article to reinforce his position from April 4th, the first day. This was updated 15 days ago. This is the same article. These are them walking in. Soldiers walk past a destroyed Russian tank and armored vehicles on Russia's invasion in Ukraine and Bucha and Kiev region. The U.S. military is not in a position to independently confirm Ukrainian accounts of atrocities by Russian forces against civilians in the town of Bucha, but has no reason to dispute the accounts either, said a senior U.S. defense official on Monday. We're seeing the same imagery that you are. We have no reason whatsoever to refute the Ukrainian claims about these atrocities. Clearly, deeply, deeply troubling. The Pentagon can't independently and single-handedly confirm that, but we're also not in any position to refute those claims. The Kremlin has denied accusations of the murder of people in the town. This is the 4th. Okay, so let's see, offhand, if Reuters has an updated Bucha article about any of this. If they've done anything since. Let's see. I'm going to try to go April 18th. It's a lot of Mariupol stuff. Well, here's April 14th. Is this what we're talking about? Yeah. So since then, these are the articles that Reuters are writing largely. Jimmy, by the way, does not believe the Uyghur genocide is happening, much less the genocide of Ukrainians. So this is, let me show you what was coming up when I did the filtered search for Bucha massacre. Navalny says Russian soldiers killed Ukrainians who shared his name. So they either sought out or killed Ukrainians with the name Navalny. Normally, if we're not in the upside down, allegedly anyways, the Kurt Metzgers and the Jimmy Dores of the world would support the Alexei Navalny's of the world. They would put them in the same category, one would think, as Assange or any other people who are standing up to entrenched power. But for some reason, Jimmy is convinced that Navalny is a bad guy in this exchange, and that all the other Russian opposition people are fucking monsters. Because I guess they're pro-Nazi would make, These are what came up, because there's a lot of related tags, I would guess, to a bunch of these things. Now, this part, Kremlin says Biden's genocide comments are wrong and unacceptable. That's another area where Jimmy thinks this is he sides with the Kremlin. Let's see what I'm going to see if they have forensic. Oh, yeah, here you go. This is April 12th. This is new. French forensics experts in Bucha to help Ukraine investigate possible war crimes. Excuse me. Ukraine says that people who were killed by Russian forces during their occupation of the area, Reuters has not been able to verify the number of people found dead in Bucha or the circumstances of their deaths. Yet it's an active war zone. And there are mines all over the fucking place. The discovery of so many slain civilians in Bucha after the Russian withdrawal has provoked a global outcry. Moscow has denied responsibility and dismissed allegations. It just awarded the troops that fought in Bucha with high honors. As the group from the French Gendarmeries Forensic Science Department looked on, workers in hazmat suits dug earth from a shallow grave and lifted out a heavy mass wrapped in an orange blanket. Prosecutor General Iryana Venedikova said, citing witnesses, that the burnt body parts inside were those of a woman and her 2 children. And again, these have been there for weeks since Russia was there. And these motherfuckers, they can't independently confirm it. It's the day they walked in. The actual picture in this fucking article is the Ukrainians walking into this place after they'd liberated it for the first time. Jesus fucking Christ. Just gross.
Well, look at the thing.
Yeah.
Well, look at the thing. Which thing? You mean the dead bodies across the ground over there, or the gutted out vehicles, or the soldiers walking through there with more, chutzpah than a Tucker Carlson tan salon?
What do you,
where's that?
It is remarkable.
Yeah.
It is remarkable. So, because he says.
Oh, okay. So Kurt is feeding him jokes on his phone, I guess, or he made a joke about the remarkable part about this.
It's remarkable. It's been a remarkable investigation by the New York Times that said that Russia committed a war crime, and then of course the Pentagon can't confirm it. And I just want to say,
by the way, when did this article come out? Yeah, so they're talking about the same day, the 4th. Both come out on the same day. The Pentagon can't confirm it. That's the New York Times reaching out for their confirmation, but they're using satellite imagery.
It is remarkable, Ali Velshi, especially since just a few years ago, I saw every mainstream news outlet reporting on how digitally recreated crime scenes and criminal justice cases are absolutely unreliable as evidence and no longer allowed for that very reason. It leads me to remark.
Oh, that was a joke. I see. Because of the word remarkable, he's remarking on it. And the idea that somehow Democrats all of a sudden don't believe that recreations of crime scenes, like suddenly we all watch forensics files and scream atrocity.
Yeah, like they just report on how you can't do that.
Yes, they do. So and they're doing it. And here's
when did that happen? When was that big push? And by the way, this is not evidence to be used at The Hague. They'll gather their own shit. These are news reports informing people about what's actually happening there. No one is being tried and convicted based on this. The Pentagon has their own information. The NATO forces have their own information. They're coordinating over this. They don't need the fucking New York Times story to tell them what those images say. I'm guessing because you think it's Maxar's Technologies is a scumbag defense contractor. I'm guessing that the Pentagon has access to those.
Max Blumenthal from the Gray Zone letting you know.
Yes, letting you know. Thanks for letting me know, Max.
These reports of war crimes committed by Russia and Bucha, they sound a lot like every other false flag bullshit. That's what he's saying. It sounds like it.
It sounds like that's enough. All right. Well, I'm sorry. The New York Times has satellite photos. They're comparing by date based on when the street was empty, when the street was cluttered with dead bodies, and when the forces came in and found those dead bodies exactly where they were in the satellite image. But fuck that. Max Blumenthal thinks it sounds fishy. Why? Oh, because Russia not guilty.
Sounds like a contains suspicious details suggesting a pattern of information manipulation.
Also contains suspicious details suggesting a pattern aimed at triggering a Western military intervention. Hey, fucko, we're already in. This happened April 4th. As a matter of fact, I don't know if anybody's told you, Max and Jimmy, but one of the reasons why they took back this area is because we're already intervening.
That triggering Western military intervention.
Why would you believe it's a conspiracy just because every war historically had a fake conspiracy to trigger the intervention?
Right.
Also, this didn't trigger fuck all. It's April 4th, motherfucker. This started in February.
One of them, so now the New York Times.
Oh, so it's weird that you notice he showed the Ali Velshi clip, the tweet, but he did not show you this part of the story. Show bodies lay in Bucha for weeks. Like, he can't show you that headline because it fucks his entire narrative. And look how angry Kurt is that the world isn't buying their bullshit.
Now smearing journalists who actually tell the truth about Ukraine. They've been doing it. This is their MO, right? So they
hold on. First of all, what the fuck story is this? He put this in consortium. What the fuck? Hold on. Back up real quick. Sorry. I can't jump back in this. Consortium News. All right. What the fuck is Consortium News? Consortium News. This is, okay, here you go. Independent investigative journalism, and political, here we go. Independent executive, and political review since 1995. Let's see. So watch live. The Assange family struggle. So they have a documentary about the Assange family struggle. Gold rush in Ukraine. Millions of years of evolution behind the slap. Chris Hedges, American Commissars. Oh, so basically this is where everybody takes their shit after RT got shut down. Information warfare from prehistory to Ukraine. Good Lord. So where is this? Well, let's see. Maybe he'll cite the article. One of them, Benjamin Norton, is journalist. Okay. One of what? Why don't you put the title of the fucking article so we can reference it? Benjamin Norton. Norton? Okay, that doesn't help. What kind of fucking search engine do these assholes have? It says search this site. Search. No. Consortium news meeting between Beijing and Benjamin. Benjamin Norton reports on meeting between Beijing. Oh. So one of them, Benjamin Norton, is a journalist who claimed that a coup. Okay. Consortium News actually is a site for Benjamin Norton's reporting. And recently, this is February 9th. This is right before the war starts. Good old Benny Norton wrote an article called China and Russia Throw Down the Gauntlet. As opposed to slapping each other across the face and declaring a duel, I suppose. Benjamin Norton reports on the meeting in Beijing between China's Xi and Russia's Putin designed to deepen the integration of the two Eurasian superpowers. This doesn't sound like a puff piece at all. February 4th, 2022, may very well be remembered in history textbooks as an important date in the shift of global politics. That day was not only the inauguration of the Olympic Winter Games in Beijing. It also saw a historic meeting between the presidents of China and Russia. Yes, the historic meeting where they shook hands, they made dumplings, and then Putin went and sat and watched the Olympics by himself. Xi Jinping and Vladimir Putin signed a series of important economic and political agreements deepening the integration of the two Eurasian superpowers. I don't know where I've read that before. Anyways, at more than 5,000... sorry, I jumped ahead. Among those was a major 30-year deal in which Russia will supply gas to China via a new pipeline. Well, new-ish, through Kazakhstan, but... All right, with both sides of the energy transfer managed by state-owned companies. And in a sign of their mutual efforts to challenge the dominance of the US dollar, they decided to settle the sales in euros, which have to be traded in when they're done petrodollars in US dollars. But that's okay, it's just gas. Following the Xi-Putin reunion, I didn't realize they'd broken up. I hope they played the hits. The Chinese and Russian governments released a lengthy joint statement declaring a new era of multipolarity, proposing a new international political model, some would even say a new world order that will leave behind the unipolar hegemonic order dominated by Washington. You know, the one where China has flourished. But good luck, guys. Have fun creating your own petro Bitcoin. At more than 5,000, while the rest of us stop using petroleum. At more than 5,000 words in length, that's why you know an impressive document. It's very wordy. The joint declaration was in some ways a kind of manifesto. That's not good. That's you're getting that he's a little this like communists love this word. They'll love the word manifesto. I should use the word manifesto. Anyways, the point is that this guy, Consortium News, is citing one of their own as somebody else. One of them, Benjamin Norton, is a journalist who claimed the coup sponsored by the... This is one of the people that's been cited against this. Sorry.
This is their MO, right? So they got this guy, Benjamin Norton, who's been on the show. He says, yeah, they
Oh, so he's not only on there, he's been on your show. So that's why he's special. Okay.
Claimed that a coup sponsored by the United States government took place in Ukraine in 2014. So this is the New York Times saying that this guy claimed that a coup sponsored by the United States government took place in Ukraine in 2014. That is what happened.
No, it is not. Not by any fucking stretch of the imagination. That is not what happened. That's fake.
It's not a claim. That's a fact.
That's not a fact. That's a bunch of bullshit.
So that, which the New York Times has reported themselves.
No, they have not.
So what the New York Times is doing here is trying to smear and discredit an anti-war.
By the way, the New York Times reporting on Euromaidan as if that's like, that's an American coup. I mean, basically it's red all over again. We might as well be in 1952.
Journalists, so they can then shut him down on Twitter, Facebook, or wherever else they want.
Why would that be? Oh, the New York Times has a red phone to Twitter. Is that how it works?
And Twitter and Facebook will point to this New York Times article to say this guy spreads propaganda, even though he's not. Do you see what they're...
Well, he's not spreading propaganda. He's just a dumbass. You're the one spreading propaganda. Ben Norton's just talking out of his asshole. Like, all right, well, I take it back. I take it back. You might be onto something, Jimmy, because I'm just saying that this sounds like a press release from China and Russia. This whole thing reads like a "you better watch out. China's on the rise. The world is going through some momentous changes, and humanity is entering a new era of rapid development and profound transformation," the joint statement declared. In this new era, some would even call a world order that's got that new car smell. A trend has emerged towards redistribution of power in the world. I could say it. Of power in the world. The Eurasian powers wrote. Oh, they did it together. It was nice. They took turns on letters. The center of power is no longer concentrated in the capitals of transatlantic Western colonialist powers. Please remember the transatlantic slave trade. Never mind the fact that we have ongoing Uyghur slave labor and that the Russians are actually kidnapping people and forcing them to work on behalf of the Russian people. All right. But yes, and transatlantic, that's, yeah. Western, because we talk across the sea, right, as opposed to transnational, I suppose. The East, yeah, it's the water that makes the difference. The East and South have risen. The East and the South have risen. The South shall rise again. We have decided, hold on one second. I'm happy to announce today that in joint cooperation between Russia and the people of China, that we are creating a new collaborative flag that we are going to be using. It is, since the United States people are not using the Confederate flag anymore, we are going to take it for ourselves. Finders, keepers, losers, weepers, you know who I'm talking about, you Confederate bastards. So from now on, the Russia-China alliance will show the colonial Confederate navel jack as our primary way of doing business. So it should be good. It's going to look hot, too hot to handle. All right, so this is... Beijing and Moscow could hardly have been more straightforward when they were proposing an alternative. They condemned the practice of interference in the internal affairs of other states for geopolitical purposes. That didn't last very long. That aged like milk. They condemned the practice of interference in the internal affairs of other states for geopolitical purposes. You mean Ukraine and Taiwan, you fuck? And instead, called to establish a just, multipolar system of international relations where China controls everything in the South China Seas and claims it as their own, and Russia gets everything in Europe and part of the islands around Japan. They used the word multipolar 4 times and multilateral 11 more. Fucking hell. Message to NATO. Take that, NATO. We're coming for you. NATO leaders watch a multimedia tower display visualizing the military alliances adaptation through NATO. Look at this. They all worship a tower. All right. The historic Chinese-Russian statement was marked by its appeal for de-escalation. Narrator. It would be noticed by historians later that a scant 2 weeks later, Russia would put 140,000 troops on the Ukrainian border, place troops in neighboring countries, and plan an attack that would last for months, committing war crimes. All right. So, anyways, that guy is who he's citing. That poor guy. He's being accused of propaganda. I don't know where. I mean, other than the fact that you'd have to work really fucking hard to convince me that somebody at RT or at CGTV didn't hand that fucking document to Ben Norton and go, here, rubber stamp this shit.
Because that's what they're doing.
That's what they're doing. Okay.
This is what...
He's being so censored. he can't even show Ben Norton on here. Ben Norton can't even be a guest anymore because he's too busy on the on Russell Brand's show. And obviously the New York Times wants to censor anybody who even talks about this. So they're obviously going to censor Jimmy for he's still on YouTube and on Rumble and on BitChute and Twitter and okay, all right.
They said that journalist, this is the New York Times talking about that journalist, they said he first explained the conspiracy theory on RT, although it was later picked up by the Chinese state media and tweeted by accounts like Frontline. In a March interview with China's state broadcaster CCTV, trumpeted as an exclusive, Mr. Norton said the United States, not Russia, was to blame for Russia's invasion. You know who else says that? Noam Chomsky and every...
No, he doesn't. No, he doesn't. Noam Chomsky carries the Mersheimer bullshit about, provocation by NATO and all that kind of stuff. But at a certain point, it became abundantly clear, even to Chomsky, that nobody made Russia put those fucking troops on that border and then go for the whole fucking country. Get the fuck out of here.
Scholar.
Oh, I reached 666,666 stars. That's amazing, Anita. Holy smokes. Thanks, everybody on Facebook. Don't forget to like and subscribe. I haven't reset, have I? I'm halfway through this fucking thing and I haven't even said. You're watching Hal Sparks Mega Worldwide. Please like, subscribe, give a thought to supporting in any way that you can. If you can't support, it's totally cool. Let the people who can. Sorry. I'm going to kick my desk over.
Into it, including Henry Kissinger and the former Secretary of Defense under George Bush. They all say it. It's not...
Oh, sorry. So Ben Norton, I'm supposed to agree with Ben Norton because he agrees with Noam Chomsky's old position on this. And Henry fucking Kissinger. How's John Bolton feel about it? Did anybody... Oh, Carolyn, thank you so much for becoming a Patreon supporter last night. That's lovely.
Ben Norton, but this is how the New York Times makes anybody who tells the truth about war seem like a discredited conspiracy.
No, actually, they don't do that. I have to say, for the record, nobody from the New York Times is going to make them look like a discredited conspiracy theorist. Their own remarks do that. And the very fact that you're defending them, Jimmy, is what makes them look fucking crazy. If Jimmy is defending you, more than likely, you're a fucking cretin. Because don't think for a second. Hold on, I've got to switch something up. Yes. Don't think for a second that Jimmy actually is against war. What in anything that he has said in the last couple of months, especially in the lead up to this and the actual execution of it by Russia, makes you think he's against war. This motherfucker is for letting Russia win the war as fast as possible. He's not against war. He's saying Russia has every right to win this war. He's been selling the denazification storyline from the very fucking beginning. So in his mind, the Ukrainian people have it coming. He also believes, by the way, that the Uyghur concentration camps don't exist, and that's a fabrication as well. Because it eats into his narrative that somehow those governments, the Chinese government and the Russian governments, are better than ours or better than the West or whatever, even though he wouldn't live in either place, doesn't speak Russian, doesn't speak Chinese, doesn't speak another language at all, barely speaks this one as far as I can tell.
And here's what they tweeted out. They tweeted out, this was in the article. This was in the article by the New York Times trying to smear anti-war journalists, and they tweeted out that...
No, he's not an anti-war journalist, and neither are you. I'm just going to call bullshit on that label. I don't buy it. You're pro-war. You just have picked a side and it's losing and you're pissed off.
This was the China State Media's a Twitter account. Mm-hmm. And they just put a red line through it. And this is a tweet of a video. Now, what the New York Times didn't do was make this clickable. Normally, you make it clickable so people could watch that video. They didn't. Why do you think the New York Times didn't make this?
Because it's propaganda. They don't want their story called for spreading propaganda. The same thing I deal with sometimes when I pass along your shit, that I've occasionally gotten a bump because the outlandish bullshit on his show somehow gets my shit tagged, but his shit stays up. It's almost as if there's a big group of people at YouTube, bless your hearts, that like the idea of turning it into a fear farm. And I'll show you what I mean by that. Let's see. First, let's go here. I'm going to bring something up that I think you'll like. Hold on. Let's go to... Yeah, I'm not going to do that. There we go. Videos. Here we go. And then let's go to this one. I'm going to pull up something real quick because it's an example that I think is worth looking at. Take this over here. And then let's go to our favorite rusty trombone. And whoops, grab here. And then we go to his channel. And then we go to pause and
look,
okay. And then look, it's me. Oh, right. Let me show you something, kids, about the state of YouTube right now. Look at the titles of these fucking videos. I mean, this is a cult fear farm. This is what a fear farm looks like. This is what this motherfucker is doing. He's farming fear, and he's not alone. It's a great business model. I demand war. Spitting fire. Confronting, fired over vaccine. Let's use nukes. Shocking video. Manufacturing consent for war. Like, he's been going after Ali Velshi for a long time because Ali Velshi actually went there and was affected by what he saw. Something, by the way, Jimmy is never going to leave his $1.4 million house in the hills. So, the fuck? Can't make this up. Well, apparently you can't. This one was fun. Remember this one? Jewish group endorses Nazis in Ukraine? Yeah. Yeah, this is it. And by the way, here, I think I showed you guys a while back, this guy Johnny Bravo. Johnny Bravo does stock market. He's like a swing trader. And so he does videos about this. How many times? I'm done, it's over, it's shocking. I'm done, it's tragic, this is urgent. Wiped out, alarming news, prepare now. You're warned, huge crash, this is urgent. Prepare now, urgent, alarming news. Wiped out for fucking months with this shit. That's what the end, it's alarming. Wiped out, chaos, out of control, final warning, never seen before. Be ready now, alarming news. This is the state. There is a part of the algorithm that sells this bullshit. And Jimmy and Russell and people like Johnny Bravo and others. Oh, well, thanks, Captain Terp. I have exactly 2 times the viewers of the Lincoln Project. Well, I've been at it, pretty consistently. We try to grow. I'm nowhere near their numbers, though. Fucking hell. Look at this. Let me show you how you get rewarded. Here's Russell's. Russell's got 5.5 million subscribers. This guy, Johnny Bravo, most of you never heard of, he's got 152,000. How many does Jimmy have? 1 million. 1,002,002. Anyways. Yeah. It's a growth industry.
Applicable. Well, because
by the way, this is the Consortium News speaking now, and notice it's not in quotes. The quotes before was from the New York Times piece that the Consortium News is quoting, and they're not. When he takes the quotes off these, this means this is genuine speak.
So this is what he said. He said the Western governments promised this is not to expand eastward. The Soviet Union multiple times. So,
no, it doesn't say in that. And first of all, fuck that nonsense. The Soviet Union didn't exist after 1992. Any treaties made with the Soviet government at that point made no fucking sense. The breakaway regions became their own fucking countries and have every right to determine their own direction. Why the fuck wouldn't they? Just because the USSR existed at some point, that it just gets to live on even after it dies? The fuck is that? So Ukraine and Chechnya and Georgia and Kazakhstan and Moldova and fucking Lithuania and Latvia and Belarus and all that, they all have to still operate. Even after the Soviet Union collapses, they still have to operate in their interactions with Europe as if? What the fuck? How I have still never, I still can't wrap my head around that, how they think that is logical reasoning. Hal, I love your titles. Maybe they're too funny and intelligent for some weirdos. Yes, but I refuse to do mean-spirited fear farm clickbait bullshit. I won't do it. So if it slows my growth for a time, I'd rather stay within my own ethics and do my own show my way than sell this like hate bullshit like these guys do. Is fucking gross. It's what I call out. Why would I do it?
Oh, I don't know why I got all this in here. I don't need this.
Yeah, it's too much information. As the United States escalates its new Cold War on China and Russia. Oh, its new Cold War on China and Russia. It's our Cold War on China and Russia. Russia's threatening nukes on a neighboring country. China is using wolf warrior policies all over the country to take over chunks of fucking Africa and stuff. But it's our Cold War. I see. Okay. Leading newspapers are dropping any pretense of fidelity to basic journalistic principles and enlisting as loyal foot soldiers in the information war. Those of us who are independent journalists who refuse to dutifully toe the U.S. regime's line are in their crosshairs, says this article. I don't know why you would want to post that either. Meanwhile, the fucking dude you're talking about is rubber stamping Chinese and Russian like state media press releases.
And so what they said was that he's pushing conspiracy theories on Ukraine.
He is. He's full of shit. You're full of shit. He's full of shit. Kurt doesn't know what the fuck he's talking about. You're lying. That's what is happening. That is actually true. That's a fact. The fact is, and here's the thing, Jimmy, you're dumb, but he fucking knows it. Ben Norton knows this is bullshit. You can just judge, you can tell that from how, like, snap, like, his writing is for China and for Russia. What a lovely picture. I mean, they're besties. And they were so young and beautiful.
They're saying that the fact that a coup, which was instituted by the United States...
No, it fucking well was not.
...on coup in 2014, where...
By the way, just in case you missed some of the earlier shows, Jimmy actually played footage of a neo-Nazi in Ukraine who believes himself integral to the Euromaidan, even though he says to himself, well, we were only 9% of the group, but we're 100% of the reason why it worked. And they're actually, well, I mean, it's either the Ukrainian Nazis did it on their own, which is what he's also arguing in one moment, or the United States State Department did. It could never be the fact that the Ukrainians just want to be a fucking sovereign country. That's an insane idea.
Victoria Nuland, we have a phone recording of her.
Yes, and it's bullshit. She's talking about somebody who was offered a job by the current regime, by Yanukovych. And this motherfucker can't even say Yanukovych in his videos. You know why? Because Yanukovych is a Russian sock puppet and fled the fucking country to go live in Russia.
Picking the next leader of Ukraine, the New York Times is saying that's all.
They didn't pick the next leader of Ukraine. And by the way, there have been 2 elections since. Zelensky is the current president. The United States didn't install that motherfucker. And if they did, we did a great job installing a Jew at the top of apparently a Nazi country. Oh my God, we're powerful.
Conspiracy theory. Why? Because it's not.
No, because it is. It's a conspiracy theory. And by the way, it's not even. I wouldn't even put it up as a conspiracy theory. It's only a conspiracy theory if you're dumb enough to be led around by it. It's actually a manufactured piece of propaganda to undermine the validity of the Ukrainian government.
That's actually true, and they want to
It's actually true, except it isn't. The fucking all right. We'll play. Let me hold on. Let me go find. Let's do this, shall we? It's for Jimmy. Let's see. Victoria. Whoops. Newland. Phone call. It's so easy to fucking find. Yeah, here it is. So where is it? There you go. This is, so the Russian media released a minute 31 of a conversation between Jeffrey Pyatt and Victoria Nuland. This is the audio of that. And I'm going to walk you through some of this in terms of the date that this happened. And by the way, this is undeniable proof of U.S. government officials organizing bloody regime. By the way, bloody regime, I don't even know what the fuck that means. The people that came in weren't bloody. The Russians invaded after.
In early February of 2014, as the Maidan crisis was getting more violent, there was a phone
Remember that. In early February.
Call that was intercepted. It was a call between the Assistant Secretary of State for European Affairs, Victoria Nuland, and the U.S. Ambassador to Ukraine, Jeffrey Pyatt.
Questions of credibility are being raised after a private chat between two top U.S. diplomats was leaked online.
I think Yats is the...
Part of a private chat. I'm sure none of it was edited. I'm sure it's exactly the way it came out of their mouths. I think Yats is the guy. Let's see. And these are the people, well, they'll reference it probably. Hold on. I think Yats is the guy who's got the economic experience, the governing experience. Hold on.
Who's got the economic experience, the governing experience. He's
also what that high-pitched noise is not in the original recording. They're doing that on purpose.
What he needs is Cleach and Tony Book on the outside. I just think Cleach going in, he's going to...
And notice how they clip parts out. Most of by the way, just in case you're wondering, the parts that are clipped out are largely the parts where she's going, this is what they want to do, and this is what they're talking about doing, and I think this would be good, but I don't like this guy at all, but this is what they're going to do, and we just have to be prepared to deal with it.
At that level, working for Yatsenyuk, it's just not going to work.
Yeah, no, I think that's right. Okay. Good. Well, do you want us to try to set up a call with him as the next step?
Sullivan's come back to me, VFR, saying you need Biden, and I said probably tomorrow for an attaboy and to get the deets to stick. So okay. Biden's willing.
So you had this remarkable phone call
that we're editing and putting together with scary music behind it that is actually normal.
You have these two senior officials of the U.S. government apparently talking about a coup or how they were playing.
No. Because it's only a coup if you don't recognize the dates are out of fucking whack. The person they're talking about has already been offered a job by Yanukovych. Yanukovych, seeing the uprising in his country, decided, I'll take one of the people from the opposition and I'll make him my prime minister. And that will quell this bullshit, and I can keep my job, and they'll be happy, and then we'll argue about it, and then somebody will spray Novichok in his fucking face in a couple of weeks. And that was the plan. And the guy from the opposition said no. Said, I don't want to take the job, because I know you're going to use me to do this. And then Yanukovych fled the country. And their version of the Duma had to come together and impeach him in absentia because he'd already fucked off to Russia from Ukraine. And so they were like, who's going to actually, they needed an election to have somebody there. And the guy who was offered the job as prime minister ended up being the temporary prime minister for a while until they could arrange elections. The dude left.
Structure the government of Ukraine.
Fuck the EU.
No, exactly.
I'm not saying the whole
I'm not saying the whole thing is. I mean, I like the part about fuck the EU.
government feels that way. There is division on this, but the neoconservative element wants very much to change the strategic dynamic in Eastern Europe.
By the way, they don't play the whole call. What the fuck is that? Hold on. That's not the whole call, and that's just a piece of it. Hold on. That's just a, let's see. Victoria Nuland's F the EU phone call. Let's see. Some of the controversies beyond the EU. There we go. Dimitri. Okay. Audio exploded onto the internet. Okay. Okay. Yeah. So BuzzFeed released this, and yeah. Let's see. The United States appears to be the the Kiev Post, which is think of like the Kiev Independent as the New York Times, and the Kiev Post at the time during this was the New York Post, right? So the New York Post, famous for the Hunter Biden laptop bullshit, released this phone call.
Have the UN help glue it.
Oh, here we go. Hold on. I think this is the full text. So this is the original BuzzFeed.
What do you think?
I think we're in play. The Klitschko piece.
By the way, this Klitschko dude is one of the people who's the mayor of Kiev right now, and he's been fighting, and like he's turned out to be pretty solid.
Obviously, the complicated electron here, especially the announcement of him as deputy prime minister, and you've seen some of.
Especially the announcement of him as deputy prime minister. That is Yanukovych doing that. That is, and they're talking about something that has already happened.
Notes on the troubles in the marriage right now, so we're trying to get a read really fast on where he is on this stuff. But I think your argument to him, which you'll need to make, I think that's the next phone call we want to set up.
By the way, that guy's wearing a traditional Ukrainian shirt. Some of you may know that like Philip Ittner was wearing a similar shirt a while back.
Is exactly the one you made to Yachts, and I'm glad you sort of put him on the spot on where he fits in this scenario. And I'm very glad he said what he said in response.
Good. So I don't think Klitsch should go in.
First of all, the Russians are what is this picture? What's happening here? This is their release, by the way. This is the Russian, the Russian language paper in Kiev.
Government. I don't think it's necessary. I don't think it's a good idea.
Yeah, I mean, I guess you think, in terms of him not going into the government, just let him sort of stay out and do his political homework and stuff. I'm just thinking, in terms of sort of the process moving ahead, we want to keep the moderate Democrats together. The problem is going to be Tony Book and his guys. And, I'm sure that's part of what Yanukovych is calculating on all of this.
Right. Okay, by the way, so again, this is during a time when Yanukovych, the guy that Paul Manafort worked for, who put snipers in rooftops to shoot people in the Euromaidan and put agent provocateurs in the crowd to fire at the snipers nearby, missing, of course, on purpose, to give them a prerequisite. At this point, like dozens of people have been killed, and Yanukovych is still in charge of the country. He's still in the country. He's still the guy. And he is Russia's dude in the government. He's the guy who's been coordinating. He's on top of all the corruption there. He's a fucking animal. He's terrible. But he's trying to shuffle these people in because the Euromaidan is working.
I think Yachts is the guy who's got the economic experience, the governing experience. He's the guy, what he needs is Klitsch and Tony Book on the outside. He needs to be talking to them 4 times a week, I just think Klitsch going in, he's going to be at that level working for Yatsenyuk. It's just not going to work.
Yeah, no.
Right, and he ended up being mayor of Kiev.
I think that's right. Okay. Good. Well, do you want us to try to set up a call with him as the next step?
My understanding from that call, but you tell me, was that the big three were going into their own meeting and that Yats was going to offer in that context.
By the way, ginormous edit into another call.
A three-way, the 3+1 conversation or 3+2 with you. Is that not how you understood it?
No, I mean, that's what he proposed, but I think just knowing the dynamic that's been with them where Klitschko has been the top dog, he's going to take a while to show up for whatever meeting they've got, and he's probably talking to his guys at this point. So I think you reaching out directly to him helps with the personality management among the three, and it gives you also a chance to move fast on all this stuff and put us behind it before they all sit down and he explains why he doesn't like it.
Okay, good. I'm happy. Why don't you reach out to him?
By the way, another large edit.
See if he wants to talk before or after.
Okay, will do. Thanks.
Okay, I've now written, one more wrinkle for you, Jeff.
Yeah.
I can't remember if I told you this or if I only told Washington this, that when I talked to Jeff Feltman this morning, he had a new name for the UN guy, Robert Seri. Did I write you that this morning?
Yeah,
okay.
I saw that.
He's now gotten both Seri and Ban Ki-moon to agree that Seri could come in Monday or Tuesday.
Okay.
So that would be great, I think, to help glue this thing and have the UN help glue it. And, fuck the EU.
No, exactly. And I think we've got to do something to make it stick together, because you can be pretty sure that if it does start to gain altitude, the Russians will be working behind the scenes to try to torpedo it. And again, the fact that this is out there right
now, by the way, that sentence, that part of it, is something that always gets left out. They play the fuck the EU part, but that part about Russia always gets left out when Jimmy and his buddies all play it.
They'll be working behind the scenes to try to torpedo it. And again, the fact that this is
when the Russians will be working behind the scenes to try and torpedo it. This is Lucius. This is audio that was leaked by Russia through the Kiev Post during the Yanukovych regime to basically undercut the U.S. Coordinating with people who are in Ukraine, saying we support democracy and sovereignty in Ukraine instead of this Russian puppet bullshit. So does the UN. The EU is just dragging their fucking feet on this, and by the time they stand up, Russia will already have kneecapped this shit.
There right now. I'm still trying to figure out in my mind why Yanukovych did that. But in the meantime, there's a Party of Regions faction meeting going on right now, and I'm sure there's a lively argument going on in that group at this point. But anyway, we could land jelly side up on this one if we move fast. So let me work on Klitschko, and if you can just keep, I think we want to try to get some.
By the way, the idea that Klitschko knows Stallone is somehow bad, it's very weird. Thank you, crazy insane alien.
With an international personality to come out here and help to midwife this thing. And then the other issue is some kind of outreach to Yanukovych, but we probably regroup on that tomorrow as we see how things start to fall into place.
So on that piece, Jeff, when I wrote the note, Sullivan's come back to me, VFR, saying you need Biden, and I said probably tomorrow for an attaboy and to get the deets to stick. So okay. Biden's willing.
Okay, great.
All right.
Thanks.
By the way, there's nothing that points to the fact that the stuff about Biden actually relates to the conversation they're having about Ukraine. They have other conversations about the UN and other stuff so they basically just plop that piece in there. There are edits all over this motherfucker. There is nobody even claims this is the full conversation. This is snippets released, and the idea that you would release snippets when you have the whole fucking phone call, I get if you have both, it's fine. But if you release the snippets and not the full fucking phone call, piss off. And the idea is, though, that Jimmy and Max Blumenthal and all the assholes over there have bought the clip version, hook, line, and sinker, and they're not even listening to the whole clipped version, the 4-minute version. Every time you watch them play it, go back and look. Every time they played it on his show that I'm aware of, and every time I've seen it on the ancillary sites like Max Blumenthal's and shit that I'm aware of, They always play the 2-minute and 27-second version. Sometimes they play the fuck the EU part. Sometimes they don't, because it depends on if they think it helps their case. If they want to make it look like, American hegemony, then they'll play that part. If they don't, they want to make the West look bad, they take the whole thing out and make it look like everybody was teaming up on poor Russia.
I think we're...
Oh, sorry. Hold on. There we go. I clicked on the wrong thing.
Who tells you the truth about the war?
Have you heard the debunkings of that supposed phone call?
Yeah, I just did one of the best ones, actually. And Kurt was just on Sitch and Adams' show a little bit ago, and they did a massive debunking of it a while back. That's very impressive.
She was just trying to, what did he say to me? I was just on my friend's show and they were yelling at this at me. That phone call.
That's Sitch and Adam that he's talking about.
Was misunderstood, and she was actually talking to the guy who was being put out of power to try to help out.
Yeah, it was
the most bullshit sounding thing.
It's the most bullshit sounding thing. I mean, I didn't look at the dates, and I don't know what the fuck I'm talking about. But look, if you believe that America's just fucking with things, that's enough for me. That's all I need.
And for the promises, that's my favorite, because no, they never got it in writing, so that's not a promise.
Oh, and that part, he's talking about the thing about the us promising the USSR we would not expand NATO. By the way, I have shown you guys many fucking times, and I will do it again just in case anybody does this for founding agreement. I want to show you something again for the fucking umpteenth goddamn time. Where is it? 2000. There we go. Summary founding act. Hold on. I want to find the original copy from NATO. Where are you? There you go. This is it. This is in 1997. You want to see what they did get in fucking writing? I was like, they had a conversation, guys. They had a conversation. That they wouldn't expand NATO past that with the USSR in 1990. Well, the USSR ceased to be, but Russia existed, had been through 2 presidents, was working on a third. 2 years later, Vladimir Putin would take over. Yeah, spank the like button, because who's doing this kind of research for you? This is the Founding Act on Mutual Relations, Cooperations, and Security between NATO and the Russian Federation, signed in Paris, France, May 27th, 1997, kids. They even updated it in 2009. Isn't that sweet? Isn't that sweet? Now, there's a lot of things in here. I've gone through it many, many times. But the points that they agree on, to achieve the aims of this act, NATO and Russia will base their relations on a shared commitment to the following principles. And again, this was signed by all the countries of NATO and the Russian Federation and their president and everybody. Okay. Development on the basis of transparency is strong and stable, enduring and equal partnership of cooperation to strengthen security and stability in the Euro-Atlantic area. Acknowledgement of the vital role that democracy, political pluralism, the rule of law, and respect for human rights and civil liberties in the development of a free market economy play in the development of common prosperity and comprehensive security. So that's something that Russia signed on to in 1997. Refraining from the threat or use of force against each other as well as against any other state, its sovereignty, territorial integrity, or political independence in any manner inconsistent with the United Nations Charter and the Declaration of Principles guiding relations between participating states contained in the Helsinki Final Act. So that means if we have countries, we can put missile systems in and that kind of shit. If you have countries, you can put missile systems in that, but you don't take another country and put missile systems in it, and you don't invade other countries just so you can do that kind of shit. And we're not going to do it. If anybody joins NATO, they're going to do it because they want to, not because they have to. There you go. And if you want to make a new Warsaw Pact, knock yourself the fuck out, but you can't do it at the barrel of a gun. Respect for sovereignty, independence, and territorial integrity of all states. By the way, in 1997, it may come as a surprise to you that Lithuania, Latvia, Poland, Moldova, Ukraine, and all the stands, and Chechnya and Georgia were all sovereign. with borders and shit. And Russia agreed to recognize the sovereignty of all states and their inherent right to wait for it. My favorite part of the whole thing. Their inherent right to choose the means to ensure their own security. That's right, kids. If you want to join NATO, you can. NATO thinks so. Russia thinks so. And as a matter of fact, if you don't want to join NATO and you just want to take your own security into your own hands, that's fine too. Fucking piss off. I do forget Estonia. I apologize. Peter Brett, yes. Viva Estonia. You're welcome. Yeah. Fuck off with this nonsense. It's too easy to find. Don't make my work harder. Because this bullshit about in 1988 and then in 1990 and then at dinner they were having cake at Mar-a-Lago with a pre-political Donald Trump and he made them shake hands and join them together in a great thing. Hold on, shit. There you go. And of course we have we were doing good. You know, when we've peaked out at the volume of folks. Well, hello to our European friends, by the way. The EU, when Victoria Nuland was talking about fuck the EU, she didn't mean everybody in all those countries. She meant the ruling group of the EU at the time that was partly responsible for letting Yanukovych rise to power. They should have done more to pressure them about removing corruption from their business, which was an ongoing process at the time. So yeah, finally. Yes, as soon as I hit 1,000 thumbs up or people in the chat room, the bots start showing up. That's how we know we've made it, kids. Oh man, oh man. All right, so to anyone, Kurt Metzger, Jimmy Dore, Max Blumenthal, any of those fuckos, go read the 1997 NATO-Russia agreement, which states unequivocally that Russia agrees and NATO agrees that countries can decide whether they want to join NATO or not join NATO. It's up to fucking them. And their sovereign borders are their sovereign borders. Fuck you, piss off, deal with it some other way. Use the rule of law and economic pressure if you want to, but you don't invade a fucking country because you don't like how they're run anymore. Full stop, 1997, blow me. That's it. It's fucking goofy. Because he even makes this like, it's a stupid argument. Watch what Kurt says. Kurt, be dumber.
That's my favorite, because no, they never got it in writing, so that's not a promise. The thing that I'll expand NATO, that is literally the debunking. There was never a treaty signed that said they wouldn't do that. It was just the word of...
No, there was an actual treaty signed that they could if they fucking wanted to after the USSR fell and Russia agreed to it. Fucking hell.
All of our emissaries to them just means nothing, that's all.
And so, I just want to read this.
I have to say, there's a certain grotesque joy that I feel when Jimmy just shits on his guests like they're fucking dogs. He used to have another camera he would cut to, and I think they still have it. He only does it to cut to his wife occasionally for whatever reason, and it's not him that does it. But he cuts to, because when I've got my camera cuts here, like these things. I do it myself. So I've got a Stream Deck here. There's no reason Jimmy couldn't have one on his desk that says, somebody not me. And as a matter of fact, I'm fairly certain he does. But just for that. There is no reason why you couldn't create a framing where Jimmy is smaller, this is in the middle, like I do with Johnny Million or when I have other guests on my radio show. It's fucking rude. It drives me crazy.
It says, as the United States escalates its new Cold War on China and Russia,
which it does not have,
newspapers are dropping any pretense of fidelity to basic journalistic principles.
Oh, by the way, just so you know, when Jimmy reads pieces like this from the Consortium News, you have to understand, this little chunk of layer of this dog shit pile of opinions that he happens to agree with are going to be read as facts. Now, granted, I read things to you sometimes that I suggest should be read as facts, not even if you agree with them, but just that they exist, that the words exist is a fact. But what he's going to do is he's going to go, this is the truth.
Listing as loyal foot soldiers in the information war. Those of us who are independent journalists who refuse to dutifully toe the U.S. regime's line are in their crosshairs. And that's what the point of this is. So now Twitter and Facebook can point to this article in the New York Times, and when they...
Hold on. That's what the point of this is? Smears anti-war journalists as conspiracy theorists. No, he actually is I think he's a propagandist. I think you're a conspiracy theorist. You and Kurt are conspiracy theorists because you don't bother to check. That's, I think, the difference. Like a propagandist, it's disinfo and misinfo. Both of these assholes are willfully misinformed.
That independent journalist who's anti-war and say that's why. Look, he's spreading.
Also, he's not anti-war. He's pro-Russia and China. So are you. You think Russia should just be allowed to win this quickly. Because that'll save lives. Just let the rape happen, lady. It's less dangerous for you. Jimmy has the same attitude towards Russia versus Ukraine that anti-abortionist Texas politicians have about rape. God wants it this way. It's better off if you just lay back and take it.
Disinformation. Here's another one. This is from Foreign Policy magazine. Russia is mimicking open source intelligence methods to discredit Bucha atrocities. So the same war crimes that they want to say Russia committed, it says, despite Russians' flimsy defense, some Westerners have nevertheless chosen to believe it.
Yeah, and I think Jimmy's more offended at being called a Westerner, even though he wouldn't survive 10 minutes if he wasn't in Los Angeles.
No, we have...
I take that back. He could probably move to a suburb of Austin or something as long as there's a Whole Foods nearby.
We haven't chosen to believe it. We're following where the facts lead.
No, this is in reference to other shit, I think. Hold on one second. FP what was the did he have it? I don't think he had a title on it. Russia is mimicking. Okay, here we go. This is the article. Now, I know what you're thinking. Hal, why don't you have amazing graphics like Jimmy has? Can't you afford to use Apple products? Well, technically I am. I'm using it. It's a Mac that the video stuff that I play is on. An expert's point of view on current event. The Kremlin is desperate to muddy the waters around its war crimes. This is Justin Ling, a journalist based in Toronto. A man covers the eyes of a Ukrainian woman painted in blood colors as they take part in a silent protest against the mass killing of Ukrainian civilians by the Russian army in Krakow, Poland. April 9th. Russian's ambassador to the United States, Vasily Nebenzia, said that sat and watched his address and then simply rejected the evidence wholesale. I understand that you were shown corpses and heard testimonials, but you only saw what they showed you. There were flagrant inconsistencies in the versions of events which were promoted by Ukrainian Western media. It was impossible that Russian forces carried out these atrocities, he said. It was Ukrainian terrorists who had massacred those civilians. Nebenzia's remarks are just the most recent and orchestrated. Okay, so where's the part about, I'll quit it. Let's see. Just hours after Bucha was retaken by Ukrainians on April 1st, a pro-Kremlin Telegram channel boosting nearly 300,000 followers shared a video of bodies and debris scattered across the road in Bucha. The Ukrainians, the account wrote, are at war with their own peaceful residents and are responsible for shelling of the city. The Ukrainian media went on, it will say, retreating Russians killed the civilians. Right. Before they got in. In the ensuing hours, but they shared the actual footage of the people before the Ukrainians got there. Okay. In the ensuing hours, and those people had been shot, not bombed. In ensuing hours, I guess they buried them. They snuck in. They've got crack teams of Ukrainian soldiers sneaking in and burying dead bodies just to dig them up later. In the ensuing hours, one of the most prolific Russian disinformation accounts referenced photos posted by shocked Ukrainians and asked its million voters. This is the question: who? The account bills itself as referring to the historical name of New Russia, a broad swath of present-day Ukraine, which includes a region stretching from Crimea to the Donbass. Another account, dubbed Rybar, called the photos and videos agitprop. That's a big Dore crowd word. Agitation propaganda, right? Claiming that the dead had been killed in the shelling and any mass graves were dug by Ukrainian soldiers for propaganda. Where does he say? A pro-Russian English account would later spin its own tale. Russian forces withdraw voluntarily. Armed forces moves in, liquidates anyone who they deem pro-Russian, and then claim the Russian massacred people before they left. It's fed to the Western MSM, mainstream media, who pick it up without questioning anything as usual. By Sunday, pro-Kremlin news outlets said the images represent a new wave of fakes about Russia's war crimes. It wrote on Telegram. By the way, Telegram is huge among Trumpies. Sidney Powell is gigantic on Telegram. That's their main source. It's meant to spread to that group in the United States. Claims continue saying, they blame easily disproved and deliberately impossible to address, a mixture of outright lies and unknowable factors. Bellingcat and the New York Times both shared satellite images and drone footage. By the way, Bellingcat is a site that Jimmy has cited before as one of the good guys. And then Max Blumenthal went after them. Russia would try and reject that evidence, with Nebenzia telling the UN Security Council that the corpses in the video in no way resemble those that could have been lying on the street for 3 or 4 days. They weren't. They were there for weeks. Some Russian disinformation channels would try and refuse that reporting with their own satellite image analysis, largely based on analyzing the direction of shadows. None of it is compelling. Okay, so that's the actual article. Now let's see where he carries it.
Same war crimes that they want to say Russia committed. It says, despite Russians' flimsy defense, some Westerners have nevertheless chosen to believe it. No, we haven't chosen to believe it. We're following where the facts lead.
There's a joke for that.
And, oh, really? Where?
There's a joke for that. So Kurt got a talking to, apparently, in the pre-show meeting. Kurt, if I'm going to have you on regularly, you got to give me some jokes. You got to start supplying me with some jokes. So this is a new part of the show. That they went through their clips before. They coordinated on what they were going to put in the fucking clip channel. And then he's supposed to tell him there's a joke for that. Because what? Kurt, your job is now one step below guy who holds cue cards?
Where the fuck is it? Where the fuck? Oh,
By the way, I know you're wondering at home. You're like, but I haven't seen any jokes so far. Yeah, I know.
My phone. Oh, slide 14. Oh.
He wrote the jokes for Jimmy again. Look, I get on Don Jr. all the time for reading Post-it notes, but fuck, this is a step below. When you have lower production values than Don Jr. and way more viewers, the fuck is wrong with you? Get a teleprompter.
Okay. Oh, okay. Why is Russia's defense flimsy? Because there's physical evidence instead of the New York Times recreating it out of thin air with the graphics department. That's why it's flimsy, I guess.
You don't.
That's the joke. Oh, hi. Look what's going on? Somebody came to say hi. What's going on, Chipper? Hold on. Oh, look who came to say hi and save me from Jimmy Dore for a moment. Hi, buddy. Who you doing, you big buddy? How are you? How's your boy? How's your boy? You okay? Here, hop down. You were going to go poo and I squeezed you? Go take care of business. All right.
A digital recreation? That's not evidence.
So now they're saying that the evidence that Russia is presenting, saying that they didn't commit a...
They didn't present any evidence, fucko. Read the article. The dude at the UN just said it's all bullshit.
Can't prove a negative, but they're trying to make them. And then they say Michael Tracy, who's just a guest on the show earlier in the show.
Uh-huh.
Mike,
do you have a feeling like anybody that the mainstream media has a problem with, Jimmy just calls them up and goes, they must immediately assume that they must be right.
is over there in Poland and UK
Hi, 500 loops.
reporting on Ukraine. He says writer Michael Tracy tweeted to his 240,000 followers that the photos were war propaganda and cast doubt on their authenticity. So there's them. They're trashing independent journalists, discrediting.
Yeah, for being an asshole, for lying, for abjectly defending Russia sight unseen. Just called it war propaganda. That's an assertion without evidence. Saying it looks like war propaganda to me, or you might want to tap the brakes because, fog of war or some stuff. I've even written stuff like that this might not be true, or part of it may be true, or, you hope this is true and you hope this isn't true, but it looks like this, and this is the kind of messaging you would hear around. Like, there's nothing wrong with having that discussion, and nobody has a problem with it. You don't get canceled for that shit. It's the assertion that this motherfucker says, that it's war propaganda that gets you in trouble. Because he doesn't fucking know. Especially at this point. God knows when this is. Hold on. When was this article? So the financial FP's, foreign policies article was on the 14th, was on April 12th. This article's on April 12th.
Smearing them as conspiracy theorists for.
When did his tweets come out? Show his tweet. Maybe he'll show us.
Back against war propaganda, which is what they're supposed to do, which tells you that the people at Foreign.
Well, no, you're asserting it is war propaganda and you have no fucking clue that it is. That's the problem. It's like saying ivermectin works when you haven't even tried it yourself, and there's been no science to back it up, and it's got a lot of ancillary contraindications that might fucking kill people, and you don't even care to follow that out, and you go, why are they suppressing this? Like, nobody's suppressing this. There is not information that it actually works. No one's suppressing the part that it doesn't work. There's no proof it does. And before you start shoveling medicine into your fucking body, it might be good to know whether it could help or harm you.
Policy Magazine are just dutiful stewards of the military-industrial complex, which is what they are, but they want.
Yes, Foreign Policy Magazine.
Discredit people like Michael Tracy and me and anybody who's anti-war. So,
by the way, again, Jimmy, you're not anti-war. You're fuck Ukraine. At this point, there is a war going on. And you are defending one side of it. You are not anti-war. Now, I think what Russia and specifically Putin is doing in that country is fucking evil. And I support our government's support of that country's sovereignty and its safety and helping it push back. And I understand the complexity of not having, say, something like a NATO no-fly zone, because that would ratchet things up extraordinarily. And why there are many steps you have to go through to, on a legal basis and on a moral and ethical basis, stiff arm create a distance between you and them and let the Ukrainians fight for themselves while, not letting them be, dumped on by a former Cold War superpower who just has a lot of leftover munitions around and a lot of people they'd like to see dead. But I'm not coming from the position, I don't know anybody that's pro-war in generic forms by any stretch. For real. Again, it's like being like people who, I guess there are people, because they'd have to be, because there's people who say they're pro-gun. Nobody's fucking pro-gun. You just want to have one when you think you might need it and you're fearful. Yeah, or you think it's a toy.
Get us censored. That's what this is about.
To play
no. Oh, wait. He's going to play devil's advocate. Hang on.
Advocate in this so-called evidence. I didn't hear one story about a P-tape.
Ah, that's right. Ah. So
what he has what he back pockets there is a Trump pee-pee tape. That was a lie too. They were always messing with you about poor Trump, Joe.
Watch how they smear Michael Tracy. They put him in the next paragraph with conspiracy site InfoWars ran breath.
Hold on one second. Financial. Quit it. I'm gonna see something. Yeah, this is on this is Foreign Policy's own site. There are 0 paragraphs that start with red letters. Just checking. Yep, that's it. Nope. Emphasis added is the phrase.
Coverage touting information largely cribbed from those pro-Russian telegram channels that expose the truth of what happened in Bucha. So they're trying to make anybody who thinks anything different than what the government and the corporate media is telling us are.
No, that's not somebody who thinks anything different. That's somebody who is asserting the opposite of reality. Ow! What are you attacking my foot for? Chip! What are you doing? Oh! He's biting my foot. What are you doing? What are you doing? Do you need a snack? Is that what's happening? Do you need a snack because you're attacking my foot? Is it almost time? He can tell when it's getting to be 5 o'clock. It's so funny.
Alex Joneses.
Wait, isn't Alex Jones always breathless in every report?
And by the way, how many? You know, we're running out of conspiracies because they've all come true.
Yeah, right.
Russiagate, conspiracy theory, no evidence.
First of all, tons of evidence. The fuck you talking about? No evidence.
Dossier, completely made up. Trump and.
No, the Steele dossier was written. Hey, are you just attacking my sock? Come here, you. Come here, silly. Look at this boy. Look at this little boy. What are you doing? Why are you attacking my foot? Why are you doing it? He's trying to save me from my own anger. Aren't that sweet? Isn't that sweet? What a little boy. Hello. Who's my boy? Who's my little boy? Do you want to sit on my lap while I finish this? Thank you. Can you? Yeah, thanks. Have a seat. There you go. All right. Just come on up.
With Putin, completely made up. 0 evidence.
Bullshit. And this would be one of those areas where, like, you know, when big government conspiracy would seem to matter to Jimmy and people like Kurt, the idea that like Mueller wasn't even allowed to look at Trump's finances. He wasn't allowed to indict Trump by an order from Bill Barr.
They should have to have an Alex Jones jar that they put money in whenever he was right.
How about the Wuhan? Where'd the virus start? In Wuhan?
Nobody doesn't think it came, but everybody knows it started in Wuhan. And the fact that the idea that it was either a lab leak theory or that it shows up in a wet market neither one of those is verboten as far as conversation. It's the assertion by many that there was gain-of-function research there and that they actively created a disease to infect the world and fuck everyone, and and the racism behind that idea that was pushed back on. Not the idea that it came from there, because everybody fucking said it came from there. The only reason you know the name Wuhan is for that reason.
Lab. Oh, remember that was crazy? Do masks work? Remember that was crazy? What about
masks work.
Boosters. Remember that was crazy?
And again, first of all, the booster aspect of it, which is, again, ongoing science and does work. The part that Alex Jones is putting out is that it's the fucking mark of the beast and you're getting a chip implanted in you so they can follow you around, or they're depopulating the planet using it.
Are we funding gain of function? Remember that was great. So all the
hey Jimmy, you're gonna mention that Obama stopped gain of function research in China and Trump started it again? That's not in the Mueller report. Maybe that's okay to talk about.
Things they said were crazy conspiracy theories. They're running out of them because they're all turning out to be true. We're doing live stand-ups.
Jesus Christ. Hi, buddy. Ugh. I'm not getting ringworm. He's an indoor cat. We're fine. Shit. What a the fucking garbage.